Hello everyone, welcome to my review of the alpha demo of Solasta Crown of the Magister that was available on Steam during the Steam Games Festival. The gameplay you're about to watch is early alpha gameplay, and that means there might be bugs, missing features, and other things that might not end up being in the game when it releases. Now, let's get right into it. What is Solasta? It's a turn-based, party-based tactical RPG in which you actually get to create the full party adventuring through the world instead of just a main character. The game's campaign is going to take you from level 1 to 10, so that sounds like plenty of adventures to go on. It took almost a year for my character to get to level 10 while playing D&D pretty much every week, so you'll probably end up putting a good chunk of hours into Solasta. I played through the original demo that was on Steam during the Kickstarter campaign, and I liked it so much that I backed the game. This demo is even better. On top of being able to play through an hour-long adventure that has greatly been improved, it also allows you to mess around in the character creator, and boy, was that fun. I ended up spending about an hour and a half creating characters. On the whole, from what I've seen and played so far, Solasta manages to capture the feeling of Dungeons & Dragons far better than any other PC RPG I've played. Yes, I've played both Pillars of Eternity and Pathfinder Kingmaker, and don't get me wrong, I like them. But there's something very comforting about the world of Solasta. It's unique enough to get me to read through every bit of lore to learn more about it, but it doesn't outright bombard me with dozens of words that are difficult to understand, that I have to hover over to figure out the meanings of. I don't need a lot of background information to be able to understand what a faction like the Tower of Knowledge is all about, for example, but it's still something new that I'll most likely learn more about as the game progresses. I think it has great potential, and I can't wait to see what the campaign will be like, especially seeing as it will be quite long, taking your characters from level 1 to 10. The exploration and combat are great, with social interactions also having a lot of potential, but feeling a little bit clunky due to the rough transitions between normal gameplay and conversation cutscenes. The character creator is also great, with the small caveat that there's still some work to do in the appearance menu, and that the limitations of a small dev team are more apparent here, with certain staple D&D races and classes missing for now, and uncertain if they'll ever be released. Now for the actual review, in which I discuss the game's features at length. We don't get to see a ton of social interactions in this demo, but we do get to interact with a bunch of NPCs outside of the ruin. And the best feature that I discovered through this was the fact that each of your characters can help you respond differently to a situation based on their personalities and skills. Some may be good at persuasion, others at intimidation, some at deception. You get the idea. Just like in D&D, you get to choose which of these approaches to take, and your choice determines whether you succeed or fail, as well as possibly some other consequences. There's also a few other instances of social interactions that happen in the adventure, but that's more of a cutscene than an interactable dialogue. Still, I assume that a different party with different personalities and backgrounds may have different conversations about the same things. Definitely a positive, and something to look forward to once the game launches, although I wish the transitions between gameplay and conversations would be a bit smoother. The movement in Solasta is broken down into tiles, which also makes me think of Dungeons & Dragons because, well, maps with square tiles on them. The ruins in which you go through in the demo are frankly amazing. There's not just exploring things left and right, but you also get to climb up and down things. The verticality of the environment is outstanding. I found some secret rooms with loot in them, and that was very cool. I felt super rewarded when I had my wizard identify the items I found and then equip my party with more powerful gear. There were also traps, and I will assume that there's also going to be at least a couple of puzzles in the game where it launches. So overall, the exploration element is great. I love turn-based combat. In a tactical RPG that's based on Dungeons & Dragons, I just think it's a must. The mechanics, they're pretty easy to understand if you know some D&D. There were 2 casters and 2 non-casters in the pre-made party, so I did get to cast some spells, albeit a bit sparingly, as I always try to conserve spells. It's a habit from real-life D&D. The movement can be a bit wonky for some of the enemies. Some enemy spiders were made even scarier slash funnier by their jiggling after their turn ended. Each character has a number of tiles they can move per turn, and then they have an action, a bonus action, and some other special or free actions. The spell animations are amazing, though it was a bit disappointing to see the same glyph used for a firebolt and a fireball. I'd have expected something much smaller for the cantrip so that the big spell could really shine, but that's probably something they might look to change later in development. There's also things you can do to give you an advantage or disadvantage in combat, and you can defend allies from certain angles and probably give them half cover, and all sorts of fun stuff like that that you also get to do in D&D. Overall, combat is fun and it flows well considering it's turn-based. Uh, I'll be happy to fight all kinds of enemies with this kind of combat. There's 5 main races: humans, elves, half-elves, halflings, and dwarves. Dwarves are divided into hill dwarves and snow dwarves, elves into high elves and sylvan elves, and halflings into island halflings and marsh halflings. In terms of classes, there's 6, with a planned 7th, the Sorcerer, to be added as a free DLC after launch. There's Fighter, Ranger, Rogue, Paladin, Cleric, and Wizard. Some solid choices, but here's where you can tell the game is being made by a small team and it's suffering for it. While I'm sure the campaign itself is going to be amazing, the customization you can do is limited. The devs have said that they want to add more races and classes to the game as a DLC sometime after launch, but so far only the Sorcerer has been confirmed. Even with these limitations, however, I'm impressed with the next part of the character creation, which is backgrounds. Yep, you heard it right. You can actually choose your character's background and alignment, and it comes with a bonus and unique feature: personality. You can choose 2 personality flags from both background and alignment, and your character's personality will be affected. That's going to mean they talk and react in different ways in the game. This is the most unique feature of Solasta that I could see, and I'm so excited to see how it'll look like in the finished game. For backgrounds, there's the Academic, Acolyte, Aristocrat, Lawkeeper, Lowlife, Philosopher, Sellsword, and Spy. This does feel like a good amount of backgrounds, though of course I'd always love for even more to be added later on. You can then go on to roll and assign your ability scores, and there's a few ways to do this, which I really like. There's the standard array, there's the point buy system, there's an option to roll for your stats, and then you also get the free edition. That means that if you want to recreate your D&D character without having to roll hysterically to get that exact combination of dice you need, you can just make their stats exactly right without a fuss. If you're a hardcore player and want to give yourself a bigger challenge, you could also create characters with very low ability scores to increase the difficulty. Alternatively, if you're looking to enjoy the story without worrying too much about failing checks and dying in combat, you can just max out all your skills and have fun. I love the variety here. You also get to choose your proficiencies and languages just like in D&D, but it isn't all that exciting since, well, it's pretty much just like D&D. At level 1, most of the classes get some different choices to make in this process. Paladins and clerics choose their deity, with clerics also choosing their divine domain. Fighters pick a fighting style, wizards choose their spells, and rangers choose their favorite enemy and terrain. You can also alter your starting equipment to better suit your style when you pick your class, which very much stays true to D&D and their starting equipment choices. Finally, you get to customize your character's appearance. There's not a whole ton of options here just yet, but since it's early alpha, I'm sure they're going to add some more hairstyles and faces at the very least. It bugged me that some sub-races only had options for light skin, while others had darker skin tones as well. Apparently, it's lore appropriate since the races come from certain parts of the world and that makes them look different? I don't know. I don't really agree with this choice, and I'd much more have preferred to have all the skin tone choices for all of the races, but who knows? Maybe they'll change their minds about this later on. There also seems to be an option to choose between 2 voices, though it's not yet implemented, and similarly, another feature that isn't fully implemented in the demo is the additional backstory box, where I assume you can write in some extra backstory for your character if you so desire. And that's it for the customization. Overall, a good character creator, but a little bit disappointing when customizing your character's appearance, not because of the few hairstyles and faces, as that was expected for an early demo, but because of locking certain races into certain skin colors. If you liked the gameplay you saw in this video, consider wishlisting the game on Steam to support the devs and be reminded when it's finally out. You can find a link to the game's Steam store page in the description down below. Alright, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this review, please don't forget to click the like button, and if you want to see more content from me, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.